All right, let's jump into this thing, man. We are in day 2, and we're focusing on that development, man, that high school development, right? So first things first, though, what I want you guys to do is I want you to go subscribe. All right, make sure you go and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the information that we're going to share here on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. All right, Monday through Friday, we're here. So let's jump into this real quick, man. Y'all already know I do not like to waste a lot of time, so I want to focus on elevating your performance today. Right? And how do you do it? A lot of people might say to you, like, hey, you have to start to do more. And in your mind, you're like, yo, I'm doing all I can. All right. You don't understand what you need to do to be able to do more. All right, let me give you a prime example of this. One day I was talking to somebody, and it was like, yo, man, I sold my business 3 years ago. And the reason I sold it is because I maxed it out. You know what I'm saying? I maxed out the business. But the person I sold it to, they had a new max. You know what I mean? Like, they took what I gave them and they tripled what the company was doing. And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, I thought you maxed it out. He said, yo, I realized that based on my resources, my knowledge, my drive, me being as a person, I maxed it out based on me. You know what I mean? Their max was something different. And he was like, yo, next time, in the business that I'm in now, before I sell it, I'm going to ask myself, what could I do to increase it? You know what I mean? Like, how could I push myself? How could I stretch myself? He said, I realized that the limitation of the business I was running was based on the limitations I had on myself. And I said, wow. It made me think. So when we're talking about elevating your performance, right? Like right now, and this is why I don't like to really focus on grades, because at the end of the day, you're in high school. And if you bring home a report card and that report card has all A pluses, you're like, yo, I maxed it out. Where do I go from here? Right? Where do I go from here? I maxed this out. So now you find yourself becoming bored with being in school. You find yourself bored with doing that work, because for you, it's not a challenge anymore. The thing that gave you drive was you wanted to get all A's, all A pluses on your report card. You did it. What's the elevation now? Where is it? This is where now, when you max out the grade, right? And listen, some of y'all, the grade you max out might be a C. Like you might max that joint out at a C, and it's cool, because that's not really what you want to do with your life. That's not what you're doing. You max that out with a C. No matter what you do, you're not going above that C, right? Not that you can't, but that drive just isn't there for you. But you started as an F. You got the F to a C. So what happens now when you take that formula of maxing out your drive and elevating, right? And you say, man, I got the C. I might not have all A's. All A's just might not be it for me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes all right, let me back this up real quick, because I want to be very clear here. Being in, and I'm gonna use the workforce, right, for an example. And some of y'all are in the workforce, some of y'all didn't start working yet, but I'm gonna make it so simple that y'all can get it, right? When we're talking about hiring people into a workforce, into a job, into a position, right? So a company itself has a lot of moving parts. I might take a person and put them right here because this is what they asked for. But it doesn't allow them to become the best them, right? Even though that's what they asked for, that's what they want, that's what they believe they can do. But my job is to identify, where will they add the most value? They see them here, but I see them over here, and there's a reason. So what I'm saying is, when you're looking at, man, in school, I do everything that I can, but I can't get past the C. It doesn't mean that you're not capable of doing more. It just means this environment right here is not the environment that's going to make the best you. It's going to help you to learn about yourself, but it's not going to make you the best you to elevate your performance, because I can take you from here where all you're getting is C's. You went from F's, you're getting C's, but I can move you over here. And over here, you're off the charts. Over here, no one can compete with you because you are in what your calling is, right? So in this area, the elevation of your performance, how you max yourself out, it might be a C. But if we just move you just a little bit, right? Just a little bit, you go from a C to where you're that A+ person without even trying. Like, it becomes easy to you. And it's so simple that you don't even have to think about it. All right. So let's talk about it. How do we get there when we're saying let's elevate the performance, right? Number one, I need you to set a clear mission. Now I know you hear people say, yo, what's your goal? What's your goal in life? What is it that you want to achieve? That's cool, but I want you to not focus on a goal. I want you to focus on the mission. And why do I want you to focus on the mission? Listen, first, man, I want y'all to go subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, go subscribe, because I want to make sure that you get all the information as it comes out. And it might just be random sometimes, right? Like however I feel. So make sure you subscribe to this. All right. So when you look at this and you start using goals, right, instead of missions, you set so many goals for yourself and you stopped. And now your mind says, you did it so many times, your mind is conditioned to, oh, a goal means we do it until it gets hard, and then we go find something else to do, right? We're going to do this until it gets hard, and we're going to find something else to do. So I want you to reset the word, and we're going to call it a mission. When you set the mission, you cannot stop. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what's happening in your life. You cannot stop until you get it done, because you have to reprogram yourself. You have to retrain yourself. All right. I started to, when my alarm rings, I stopped just like laying down and hitting the button. No. I got to get up. Soon as the alarm goes off, no matter how I feel, what happens, I got to get up. Once I get up, I'm going to turn the alarm off. Once I turn the alarm off, I'm going to do 10 push-ups real quick. Why am I doing this? Because I want to wake me up. When I hear something, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to get up at a certain time, I'm going to jump up. And I'm going to do things to keep me up before laziness wins, because all I'm focused on is elevating my performance, okay? So for me, that's one of the things I found. I'm hitting the button, and I'm like, okay, I set my alarm for 6:01. And then I set it again for 6:03. So when it goes off at 6:01, I know it's going to go off again at 6:03, and I just hit the button and wait for the next one. Nah, why? That's laziness beating me every morning. So I'm elevating myself internally so that I can beat laziness. All right, so let's talk about it real quick. When we're talking about setting that clear mission, remember, no goals, right? Setting a clear mission. When you define the clear mission, that means, I hate to say like an achievable mission, because what's achievable for me may not be for you. What's achievable for you may not be for me. But I don't want to think in a box. I want to think without a box, right? People say think outside the box. No. One day my camera dude said to me, he was like, yo, I hate that. Why don't we think without a box? And I'm like, yo, I love it, right? So I want you to set missions that are specific. Forget achievable missions. I don't care what nobody says. Yo, I can do things that I don't even know I can do. So how can I set something that's achievable? Basically what I'm doing is saying, let me minimize the vision to where someone with a mind as small as mine can grab it. And I say as small as mine because it's constantly developing and evolving, right? So I want to set a mission that is specific, not something achievable. Achievable means we're going to make it so it's easy, right? I took a spelling test back in the day, man, and my uncle taught me how to use this formula. Like the word together is 3 separate words: to, get, her. Right? So he showed me how to break words down just like this. So I was acing my spelling test, and I was doing so good. The teacher said, yo, you can pick your own words this week. And I picked 3-letter words: cat, dog, bat, rat, fat. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm picking words like this. And when I showed them to my uncle, he said, yo, what's wrong with you? Where'd you get these words? I said, yo, they said I was doing so good, they let me pick them. You see what I'm saying? So that was terrible. That was terrible. So when I'm talking about setting specific, right? Setting missions that are specific, meaning you know exactly where you want to go. You're very specific, not achievable. Forget achievable. You are beyond achievable. You just don't know it yet, all right? Measurable. And what it means when what I mean when I'm saying measurable, something that you can actually see. You actually know at the end of the night when you go home and you put your head down on your pillow, you know, like, yo, I gave it my all. I put everything into this. Everything, every piece of me, all the blood, the sweat, the tears, right? I put into this. And not only did I put it in, but I got there. And now you can see it. There's nothing worse than putting in work, and you don't see what's happening, right? Some of us, we need that. But a lot of us, we need to be able to see it, because that's what fuels us and keeps us going. So when you have, I talked about it yesterday, right? Breaking it down to the ridiculous. See, when you have a mission, and we'll dive into it in a minute here too, right? But when you have a mission that is so big and you're just in this thing working, you can get lost and you don't feel like you're achieving the things that really need to be achieved, right? So I want them to be measurable. That means when you get there, you're like, yo, I did that. Let's go. And you're excited, right? Because every time you win, it fuels you for the next win. All right. I want it to be, I want it to be something that is relevant, right? That is relevant. So that means you know, right, exactly what you're working towards. You know exactly, like it's clear. The mission, the vision, every benchmark, like it's a visual. You know where you're going. There's no room for the distraction to live. Because if you're not clear where you're going, how do you elevate your performance? You keep bringing things and people into your life that don't add value to where you're going. They add value to what makes you comfortable. I'm out on people that add value or things that add value to what make me comfortable. I want the things in my life that disrupt me. Because I find that when I'm uncomfortable, I get real growth. Right? I get real growth when I'm uncomfortable. So we talked about breaking things down to the ridiculous, okay? So that's when we're taking this large mission that can become overwhelming, and we're breaking it down into smaller, measurable tasks, right? Smaller, measurable tasks that seems like it makes every day a win. Every day is a win. I hear people all the time, they're like, man, you know, it was rough today. I didn't get the things done that I wanted to get done. This happened and that happened and that yo, I'm not concerned, right? I'm really not concerned with none of that. The only thing that I'm concerned with is that at the end of the day, I have things on my list that I can draw a line through, meaning that, yo, this is done. This is done. I got victory today. All right. So let me break this down. Let me give you a little more. Let me put some substance to this. All right. You have this big mission. Let's say within this big mission that you have, there are 1,000 steps. You know what I mean? There's 1,000 steps for you in this mission. Well, when you look at 1,000 steps and you look at where you are, only thing you start to see is the things that you're not able to do. Them are the things that are very clear to you. Man, I can't do this. I can't do this. That's going to take forever. How is it going to happen? I promise you, if you live the next 12 months, right? If you survive the next 12 months you survive, how many of them 1,000 things can you get done? Don't look at the 1,000. I'm looking like, yo, how many of these things can I get done? Not in the next 12 months, because that seems long too. I'm going to break it down. How many of them things can I get done this month? How many things can I get done this week? How many things can I get done today? When I identify what I can do today, right? Now we're locking this thing in. Then I'm going to break it down a little more. How many of these things can I get done in the next hour? Can I do one of these in the next hour? Can I do two of these in the next hour? Can I do one thing every hour that in my working hours? So if I'm working 5 hours today, can I get 5 of these things done? Right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, if I know I can do 5 of these things a day, then that means in X amount of days I'm done. If I can do one thing a day, then that means in 1,000 days I'm done. If I can do one thing a week, then that means in X amount of time I'm done. So your focus needs to go to the thing that makes the most sense right now when you break it down to the ridiculous. So now at the end of every day, at the end of every hour, you can see the things you want in. You can see that, yo, you're not wasting your time. You're becoming better. You are becoming better, okay? So listen, let's go to this next thing. And again, you're always, in every video pretty much, man, you're going to hear me talking about the environment, right? The environment. And it's going to sound like so redundant sometimes. Like, yo, the environment. Why? Because your environment is always changing. Sometimes we go into an environment, and the environment that we put ourselves in is watering the seeds of doubt that we already have, which creates a level of comfort because we look around and we're like, oh, I'm not the only one in this place. I'm not the only one going through this. And then we start seeing people manage the place they don't want to be for a long time. So you're in a place, you're not happy in the place, but you're managing the life in this place to where it seems like it's okay, but you're not happy there. I don't want to be in an environment like that. I want to be in an environment where the seeds I'm looking to destroy so they never grow and develop again, that environment that I go into is not watering the The seeds I'm trying to get rid of, right? So if you have a garden, I want you to think about this, right? When we're talking about environment, because that's what it is. It's a garden. The healthier your garden is, the better the stuff that comes out of it is going to be, right? The filthy, the dirtier that your garden is, that's what it's going to produce, dirt, filth, right? Or not produce anything at all. It's just going to be there. I don't want to just be there. So when you look at it and you say, okay, listen, this is my garden, and my garden needs to be talked to the right way. My garden needs to be maintained the right way. My garden needs to have my attention, even when I don't feel like giving it. These are the things that my garden needs. Why? Because if I do these things to my garden, if I make sure that there's nutrients in that garden, it's going to give me the fruits that I want. It's going to give me the fruits that have real nourishment to it. That's your environment. Your environment is your garden. So my question to you is, if you plant something that you believe will truly be beneficial, it will truly feed you, it will truly feed your family, it will truly give you the nutrients that you need to live the life that you want, would you let filth live there? How would you maintain that garden? It's the same thing with your environment. Your environment is the garden. So today, I want you to look around and I want you to ask yourself, what weeds need to be plucked from my garden? What weeds need to be plucked from my garden? Now listen, I can promise you this. The weeds that you need to pluck, you will avoid. The ones that are living there that you really pay no mind to, really don't, it's not, you don't feel like you're going to have to answer any questions about plucking that weed. You feel like, you could just pluck that. No one's going to say nothing. It's easy. Listen, the ones you pull out first are going to be the easiest. When you start to get to the last 10, you start to get to the last 5. You get down to the last 3, it gets harder, right? Because you try to justify why you should leave it. I'm not trying to justify why I should leave it. I'm focused on why it doesn't need to be here, right? What do they say in the court of law? You're innocent until proven guilty. Listen, until that weed can show me that there's some value there, it can't live here. Can't live here. No ifs, ands, no buts about it, right? It cannot live here. So I want you to treat your environment as a garden. And I want you to ask yourself, if you're only planting good things in this garden, why would you allow the filth to live in your garden? There's no reason. There's no reason that you should just be hanging around me, right? I don't need you just hanging around me, all right? So let's be very clear about that. Listen, I hope this gave you something that you can use today, right? I hope it did. If so, let me know. I'll be happy to hear about it, all right? And if you got any questions, make sure you put them in the comments, all right? Put them in the comments, man. There's no need to just hold on to the question, all right? I'll talk to y'all.